Hello and welcome to another episode of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Connor Moreno, lead writer for UCLA Bruins on SI, and it's game week, so we're going to go ahead and get into our week 3 kind of routine that we're going to try and make more permanent. UCLA is playing against New Mexico on Friday in a couple days, so I think for today's episode, we're going to go ahead and... for Thursday's episode, we're going to go ahead and kind of tackle who the most important UCLA players are going into the game. We're going to select 3 offensive players and we're going to select 3 defensive players and just talk about them and, what people have said leading up to the game and kind of just forming some opinions based on the matchup. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Let me just pull up my list. We're going to start with the offensive players real quick. And the first one is actually a right tackle, offensive tackle, Ruben Unije. UCLA's offensive line has, quite frankly, been one of the worst in all of college football. Nico Iamaleava has been the most pressured quarterback in college football through 2 weeks. But in the second half of the UNLV game, kind of when the offense was starting to erupt and initiate that comeback, Deshaun Foster moved right tackle Garrett DeGiorgio to left tackle, and then he replaced Cortland Ford with Ruben Unije at right tackle. And it's a move that Deshaun Foster said is going to be more permanent. Yesterday, he appeared on the Bruin Insider Show, hosted by Nick Kopp and Wayne Cook, and he said that change will be permanent. Well, kind of hinted at it, but basically said, yes, you're going to see that change be more permanent moving forward. He said, most definitely you will. These guys just putting together a first half. Like I said, if we could have started that game just a little earlier, maybe even in the second quarter, just getting it going a little more, then there's a lot of plays to be made. But I'm excited that the O-line was able to protect Nico like that, and hopefully we can continue to do that. I know we will continue to do that. Unije, he showed promise stabilizing the offensive line in the second half of that UNLV game despite the result. So moving forward, if he can aid in providing Nico some more protection moving forward, then that'll be really good for UCLA's offense, and the Bruins will undoubtedly look like a much better team moving forward. Up next, the second offensive player, we have Quasi Gilmer, wide receiver. He was a big part of UCLA's momentous offensive second half against UNLV, particularly making pretty spectacular catches. Making pretty spectacular catches on third downs, on the sidelines to extend drives. He even got roughed up on multiple occasions. He wasn't in pads during Monday's practice. Excuse me. But Deshaun Foster clarified that it was just for conditioning purposes, kind of like it was earlier in training camp when he was sitting people just so they could be more conditioned. He said same thing as a couple weeks ago. He's okay. It was more just he's running hot and I need to, he's coming off an ankle and just a lot of running on him right now. It's a short week. So Gilmer is UCLA's leading receiver through 2 weeks. He has 118 receiving yards on 11 catches. He shined during the final drive of the UNLV game. He made tough catch after tough catch, helping to extend the drive before Nico inevitably threw that game-sealing interception. But the way I see it, as long as he and Nico can maintain that connection moving forward, not only will it be good for the Week 3 game against New Mexico, which, by the way, is a considerably less talented defense than UNLV, I do think that that could bode well for the momentum moving forward. And number 3, this is the third consecutive game he's on this week. Nico Iamaleava is the third most important offensive player for UCLA. Not only is it 3 straight weeks he's on this list, but it's arguably 3 straight weeks where he kind of has to prove himself. He played considerably better in week 2. I'll give him that. But, you still, especially in that first half, his performance kind of left a lot to be desired. I do think he was among UCLA's best players against UNLV, but you still want to see him put together a complete game, 2 halves, and lead UCLA to victory. Last week he finished with 255 passing yards. He was 29 for 41 on passes. He added a touchdown on the ground. He had a passing touchdown as well. His touchdown was a 30-yarder. And then obviously he threw that final interception to seal the game. And, we said it last week ahead of the UNLV game. It is a less talented defense than the week prior, but we still want to see some strides from Nico Iamaleava just so you can build that momentum moving forward. Now let's move on to the defense. Defense has been a hot topic of UCLA's first two games of the year. Despite a brutal first three halves, UCLA's defense showed some pretty impressive strides in their second half comeback against UNLV. Whenever the Bruins needed a clutch stop, UCLA's defense, it felt like, was there. Obviously, they gave up a touchdown in the second half, but otherwise, every other single drive, I think, was solid defensively for UCLA. So the first most important defensive player for UCLA is going to be Keyshawn Bennett. He's an edge rusher. He waited to see some meaningful snaps on the field. In fact, he waited the whole first week. He didn't play against Utah, but when he came in against UNLV, he made his impact instantly. He had a 13-yard sack. He had 5 total tackles. He visibly on the field was making an impact, and it was a tangible impact, and it was honestly a big contributor to UCLA's momentum in the second half. In that game also, this is important. The edge rushers and UCLA's front four in general are important because UCLA is playing against a considerably less mobile quarterback than Devin Dampier for Utah and Anthony Calandria for UNLV. Jack Lane, New Mexico's quarterback, stays in the pocket more often, if not all the time. In fact, he has -8 rushing yards on the season. He's been sacked 5 times. Deshaun Foster, he kind of detailed the mentality shift defensively going against a quarterback like Lane. He said he's there, so it's a little bit better when you know a guy's going to be standing back there and not moving around. Both of those guys, Dampier and Calandria, were pretty elusive and could extend plays, and it's hard when you can extend plays. So, and that kind of leads into our number 2 most important player, with this Anthony Jones. He's on the other edge alongside Keyshawn Bennett. He also had an emphatic sack against UNLV. It was a pretty impactful sack. I mean, he leveled Calandria, and arguably it was the catalyst for the momentum swing in that game. As I said, UCLA's front four in general is going to be important against New Mexico, aside from lining up against a quarterback like Lane, who is less mobile and stays in the pocket more. New Mexico's offensive line is among the most disciplined in its conference. Jones spoke to the media on Tuesday talking about what he saw from New Mexico. He said their offensive line is coached pretty well. I do think we have an advantage as a defensive line, just matchup per matchup. They have a pretty good tight end, that is Dorian Thomas. They look to get him the ball, not as mobile as a quarterback as we've seen in past weeks, so we should be able to get the pass rush to get there, keep him in the pocket, and just let our DBs know that we got their back. So basically it starts with the front four for UCLA. If they can pressure the quarterback, it's going to be a lot easier on UCLA's defense overall. But number 3, most important defensive player is Juju Walls, true freshman. He's been turning heads early in the season, and people are calling for him to make some more playing time, including UCLA defensive coordinator Kaika Malloy. He is trying to find a way to get Juju Walls out there on the field more. He said, there are some guys that I'm trying to find a spot to get on the field. Excuse me. One of them is 41. He has another athletic ability that you guys have seen during camp, but it's just got to be spots, and when we can put him in to give him the best chance. He's not the only one that has that sentiment. Anthony Jones, he talked about him. He said he's going to be a guy, and I tell them all the time, he's one player that you know you're going to get out of him at practice and games. So just like Coach Malloy said, finding ways to get him involved. We can just get him on second and long, more pass rush opportunities, because he's just a real dynamic player. So, I mean, especially against an opponent like New Mexico, where you can kind of afford to have different personnel out there and still be successful. Look for Juju Walls, number 41, to have kind of an impact out there on the field. So yeah, that's going to be it. Tomorrow's episode, we're going to go into our preview of the game because it is game day tomorrow. So yeah, without further ado, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. We'll see you tomorrow.